Hey, welcome in. I'm Rita, and this is the story I'm telling myself. If you've ever felt like you're standing in your own way, you are not alone. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today, it is the 50th episode of the Story I'm Telling Myself podcast, which is so exciting for me. I don't know why those centennial numbers matter the way they do, but they do. Like 50, half a century, that's kind of, in my head. So this feels monumentous to me. And you are here with me. Thank you. Thank you so much for being a listener of the story I'm telling myself. And if you are joining us live today, it is Tuesday, which is our live record day. Please jump in the comments, say hello, let us know that you are here. This show is for you. We love talking with you. We love hearing your input in the comments. So come join us in the comments. And please welcome today's guest, Bobbie Carlton of Innovation Women. Bobbie, thank you for saying yes and coming to the story I'm telling myself.
Thank you so much for having me. And for anybody who doesn't know me, I don't usually sound like this, but I wouldn't miss your 50th episode. So exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And yes, I mean, Bobbie is, many of us have this problem in the spring. So she's fighting the spring allergy thing and laryngitis. But somehow the universe took care of you and you've got enough voice to be with us. So, Bobbie, please tell everybody about yourself.
Absolutely. So I usually tell people I have many jobs. The day job is I run a marketing firm. That's how I make an actual living. My night job for many years has been something called Innovation Nights. Innovation Nights is a monthly new product launch event. We started in 2009 and ran for 11
Wow.
years before the pandemic got us. And then we're restarting that in the Boston area just in a couple weeks. So Innovation Nights will be happening again at Boston's Museum of Science on April 15th. And I always tell people I'm a marketing person, right? I have to have a tagline for everything. So the Return of Innovation Nights tagline is Innovation Nights, more fun than taxes. And then the dream job, so I have a day job, a night job, and a dream job, is the dream of getting more women on stage at conferences and events because 2/3 of all conference speakers are men, and that leaves women out of a lot of career and business opportunities. But wait, there's more. I also did a little bit of pandemic retail therapy in 2020 and bought 2 more companies, a research service for professional speakers called My Speaker Leads and Lioness Magazine for the female entrepreneur.
You are, I mean, I got to tell you, friends, Bobbie is really a hero. She is a hero of mine. She is a woman who is leading the way, showing what is possible for what we can do to create the world that we want to be in. And Bobbie, you are extraordinary. You really are. Innovationwomen.com is where you can connect with Bobbie. It'll give you links to all of her socials and everything else that's going on and all of those businesses. And listen, women that are joining us on the show, you really need to connect with Bobbie. Innovationwomen.com, and we will have that in the show notes for our friends who are catching us on the podcast. Meryl, welcome back. So happy to have you with us again. And thank you for celebrating the 50th show with us. Gary from the UK, love having Gary with us. Gary's been twice a guest on the show and is somebody that I consider to be a dear friend. And again, a powerful thought leader that I'm so happy to have in my life. So I found you, Bobbie, through Precious Williams.
Oh, yes.
Is actually the person who told me about Innovation Women and suggested that I join and connect with you guys. And that has been a powerful, powerful connection for me to have made. But I want to get into your story because this statistic, it is staggering that 2/3 of conference speakers are men. And when you learned this, you sort of said, this is a narrative that should not be the status quo. And instead of just complaining about it, you decided to take it head on. And I applaud you for that. But walk us into the story. Tell us a little bit about that moment and how that realization really settled on you.
Yeah, I mean, I have been working in public relations for, oh gosh, uh, about 40 years now. And a lot of my job is getting executives on stage at conferences and events. And for the first 20 years of my career, I never had a woman client. I was working with big enterprise software companies, and there were no women in the executive management team who were the people I was putting on stage. And yeah, I took notice. As a young woman, you're like, what does this mean for me in terms of my ability to grow? But over time, it becomes more and more pressing because then you're sitting in the audience watching what I call the male, pale, and stale panels. And I do have to always preface this by saying male allies are always welcome at Innovation Women. We are focused on underrepresented voices, especially women, but we also have a number of male allies who are part of Innovation Women as well. We don't need all the spaces on stage. We just want half. So that's all I'm looking for is half. So the more men who are there to support us as well, the better off we are.
Well, and I think that is an important thing to understand because again, often the story that we tell ourselves when we start spotlighting an underrepresented group, the story that people have is that they're trying to replace the predominant group. And what you're saying is, well, we are, but only to the halfway mark. We're not trying to overtake. We're not trying to reverse position with them. We just want to see there be more equity in the experience that everyone has. Leslie, thank you for coming. Great to have you with us. Leanna, great to have you back as well. It's so wonderful, Bobbie, and you know this because you host events on Innovation Women all the time. And when you start having those loyal people that show up all the time, it really means a lot. So you're young in your career. At that time, a lot of technology. Women were very much not in the leadership roles. And you noticed this. And when did you give yourself permission to actually start to take action? And what was some of the internal resistance that you had to deal with within yourself before you could do that?
Yeah, I started my own companies in 2008. I don't know if you remember back
Oh, that's
then.
when I started my company.
Remember,
Wow.
the market falls off a cliff and it's like, okay, time to start my own company. I had been working with a startup that ran out of money about then, and I had an opportunity to take that time. Here's where it gets real, right? You're looking for a job and you're like, well, yeah, my own thing. That sounds great right now because you have nothing else going on.
Right.
So I did start my own company, always thinking that I would do some consulting projects and then I'll find another job. Well, it's what, 17 years later, and I still haven't found that other job. Uh, I think I still had a functioning resume probably 5 years in. Like I'll find another job. No, I didn't find another job. In 2008, there weren't a lot of jobs.
That's very true.
But it wasn't until then that I was in charge of what it was I could do myself. And Innovation Night started as a way to support local entrepreneurs in the Boston market, but also to give me a sandbox to play in to learn about social media, about digital marketing, about community building. And using Innovation Nights, I learned a lot of lessons. One of the big lessons I learned is I was doing innovation nights for free, and
Mm.
that didn't give me any budget to work with. It gave me a lot of visibility, a lot of chits to cash in when I needed, but it didn't help me pay the mortgage. It was something where I said, I'm doing this good thing for the community, but other people noticed I wasn't doing good things for myself. So I had a friend who's now a friend approach me and say, I see you doing all this work for other people. You don't seem to be making any money off it. Let me help you sell sponsorships. Let me help you make a living at this. Why, thank you. Oh my God.
What a
And
gift from the
I
universe
know,
that somebody stepped
Kim.
in.
um, and that was a great lesson to learn because I think as women, we tend to undervalue the things that we do. And, it's almost like, what am I thinking? I'll just keep doing this good thing and people will throw money at me. No, you have to earn your living and you have to earn your way. And when I started Innovation Women in 2014, I said, yes, this is a good thing that I need to do, but I need working capital. I need to be able to pay a team. I need to make sure that people have skin in the game and that they value it. Because one of the things I discovered with Innovation Nights is if you don't charge for something, people don't value it.
And
So,
tell us a little bit more about that. Like, what did that look like? People not valuing it.
what it looked like is every month we were launching between 10 and 15 companies. This adds up. We launched over 1,500 new products for companies that got more than $4 billion in funding.
Hmm.
Huge amount. But at the same time, occasionally you'd have somebody who would be like, oh, we're too busy that night after we'd spent a month promoting them. And they're like, oh, we can't come. And there'd be an empty table that somebody else could have used. There would be an empty table where people were coming to see that company and they didn't get to meet that founder and that company. We'd have a program that was suddenly, oh, there's somebody missing. It just didn't look good. It wasn't professional. It wasn't what I wanted to see.
Well, and I have to imagine that it's a bit of a stab in your own heart because you've put all this effort
We've been
into it.
spending a month promoting you and you can't even be bothered to show up.
But this
I'm
is
not
this
bitter.
is this is true, and we should. I just want to hang here for a minute, and I know, Bobbie, that you do a lot through Innovation Women for the speakers group. You do a lot of educating to us. You have a massive education underpinning to your platform that is so important for speakers. So you reiterate these lessons to us. But this is something that is very common. I mean, look, here's where I am right now in this podcast. This takes time and effort and energy. It costs me. It cost me monetarily. It cost me in terms of lost revenue opportunity, all of those things. And I keep telling myself in the back of my head, you need to move into monetization. You need to move in. It's the same thing, right? But it's also like, okay, when do I have time to figure that out? Kind of thing. And so we all can fall into this trap where we start things from this really good intention where we do want to give back. I mean, this podcast is fundamentally, if each episode just touches one or two people and gives them some new step forward, some hand up from wherever they are, I have accomplished something very meaningful in the world that I feel really proud of. But like you said, that doesn't pay the bills. And so all of us have these moments where we step into things with the best of intentions, with a lot of courage, but we end up creating this vacuum. Did you ever go back in and put any pricing to innovation nights? Or are you changing that model going forward?
We changed the model so that sponsors would support us. Here we are restarting it, and we're restarting it in partnership with the Boston Museum of Science. Like a dream venue, not gonna lie. Absolutely
Bobbie might
amazing.
just be a really good at cultivating connections. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
That is always a bonus to doing nice things for other people in your community. But we're starting it with the Museum of Science and we're being sponsored. So, like I am getting paid, but it doesn't fix the skin in the game issue.
Yes, yes. And so this is something that we should all think about and challenge ourselves. And trust me, you guys are going to want to grab this self-reflection guide. If you are starting something up or thinking of starting something up or finding yourself in this position that I'm in where you need to change the model and make sure that you are remunerating yourself, because there's some questions we need to be asking ourselves. And Bobbie's going to help us continue to uncover those. But this is a kind of a very important thing. And I'm not going to say that women do this more than men. I will tell you that as I have continued to grow my connections in as mainly with women, but women and men in the African American community and in the Latino community, I find that they oftentimes take on even more than my white women friends in terms of what they're giving back into the community and all the things that they are doing for free. That's just getting visibility, just being known, all of those kinds of things, which are important. Social capital matters. But this idea of how you reconcile social capital and economic capital is really where you were.
Yes, very much so. And so when we went forward with Innovation Women, I said, I need to make sure that I get paid. I need to make sure my team gets paid. And need to make sure people have skin in the game. So we did put in a membership fee for Innovation Women. Now, it's still ridiculously low compared to what I see out there in the marketplace. Lots of people are spending, my God, I've seen everything from $800 a year to $23,000 a year to get the same things that we provide on Innovation Women, and our base membership is $159 a year.
So you're still able to have that servant heart, that ability to build the community,
Mission-based.
but yeah, making it accessible.
Exactly. I don't want people to say, "Oh, this isn't something I can afford." I want people to say, "I am investing in myself, but I'm investing in myself in a way that doesn't make it onerous."
Well, and I think that investment question is important because I know it is motivating to me. If I'm investing in something, then I'm challenging myself. Am I out there? Am I utilizing it? And I know that there's a is it Rocket Financial or somebody has that commercial where you do the app and they find all the subscriptions and stuff that you're paying for that you've forgotten about. But I don't need an app to do that because I'm a good little accountant and I keep track of these things and I look at where my spend is and I think about how I'm utilizing things and making sure that if it is no longer really relevant or if there's a better replacement, that I am extricating myself. And so I do think there is, for many of us, there is that piece that is important about where are we feeling personal motivation. And then, but beyond just the skin in the game economics, your community building in the Innovation Women platform as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a weekly event. We call it Speaker Friend Fridays. And Speaker Friend Fridays actually happens twice some days, but it's a way for the community to get together and talk to each other. It's on Zoom. We have people from all over the world that show up and just ask and answer questions, introduce each other to themselves to each other. They have little breakout rooms. Like there's a lot that comes out of those very simple gatherings. And then there's an online community that we run where our speakers can connect with each other, where they can network, where they can ask questions, have discussions. It's amazing the amount of activity that happens in that community.
And you're changing, growing, evolving. So in the time, I think this is my third or fourth year of membership in Innovation Women. And in that time, the services that you are providing have grown, the platform has grown. The options, you created new tiers and new levels of service as well. So talk to us a little bit. You are very mission driven. It is, you want to really see that number move to where half of those speaker slots, on average, half of the speaker spots at conferences have women in them. Your goal, it's very straightforward. It's very specific. But you are also continuing to evolve what Innovation Women is about. So talk to us a little bit about the story that's going on in your head and behind the scenes around why you decided you needed to switch things up and what it required of you to give yourself permission to do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I started Innovation Women, um, I crowdfunded the money to create the initial platform. And I said, this is great. I can create this platform. I can do the simple thing first. And I had the money and I had 200 speakers to start. Now we have more than 10 times that. And I was creating Innovation Women a little bit for myself. It's like, what do I want as a speaker? It might not sound like it right now, but I do a lot of speaking myself. And I also am a marketing person, and my clients get out there and speak. So I wanted all the tools at my fingertips that would help me, that would help my clients, that would help other agencies, that would help women, even speakers bureaus. Like a traditional speakers bureau, they are working with speakers who get paid, but Innovation Women is for all speakers, those who are speaking for visibility, those who are speaking to drive a business or a coaching or consulting gigs. And it's a really broad way of getting yourself out there and getting more visibility. So every time I turn around and I add something new to Innovation Women, it's a little bit because it's a thing I wanted. But it's also the things that our members want. So they give us ideas all the time, and we have a continuously working development process. You should see the spreadsheets. Oh my gosh. A continuous development process where we're always adding and upgrading and updating things. I usually tell people that Innovation Women is extra. We're a lot. We are a very low price tool, but when you get behind the scenes, it has education, it has a database, it has opportunities, it has a community, and people are like, "Oh, wow." Like, one of our biggest problems is that people can't believe that we have all that we have for the price that we have, and it hurts actually our credibility until they buy in and they see that it's real. It's like,
Right.
well,
Well, and I can tell you, I mean, just to go to what you guys call the green room affectionately, which is the behind the scenes platform where all the education material is located. I mean, there are courses and courses worth of material out there to consume if you are new into the speaking industry and you're trying to figure some things out. And so, I mean, it's almost overwhelming to sort through some of that. And you very quickly figure out the questions you didn't even know to ask that you should be asking, as a speaker. And some of that has moved into the community now that you have the community there, which is nice because people help one another. They don't just have to come through to you.
I love our community. We have the best people. We really do. And they are all willing to share. They're all willing to answer each other's questions. We have a whole concept. I call it speaker friends. And we go farther together. And if you have a little cadre of speaker friends that you move forward with, some of them might be a little bit ahead of you here or behind you there. You can really make a lot more progress if you have someone to bounce ideas off of.
One of the biggest stories that gets in our way as human beings is the comparison story.
Mm.
Talk to us about your comparison story, Bobbie, and what is the inner critic is just after you about, and how do you navigate that in your decision making?
Oh my gosh, we were just talking on LinkedIn a couple days ago because a group of us were talking about our stress dreams. So earlier this week, or actually it was last week at this point, I had a big workshop. I've been working on the workshop, the workbooks, all the materials for it. And I don't know why, but this particular workshop, it was in partnership with 2 other groups. It just stressed me out so much. And I would wake up on Saturday and Sunday in a cold sweat, having obviously what was a stress dream about doing this workshop. And a friend of mine is like, "You just got finished doing a 16-week speaker marketing club where you put together a new lesson every week for 4 months. Why is it this workshop stressed you out?" And I was like, "Well, it's a new area. It's an expanding area. It's one that's changing all the time." I was just waking up fearing that something would change overnight that would just negate everything I was teaching people. And of course, I get in, I teach the class, and people are like, "That was amazing. That was the best thing I've ever seen." And I'm like, "Yay." But at the same time, I know people think about speaking a little differently because it's seen oftentimes as a source of fear for some people. And they don't want you to feel bad. They don't want you to feel scared. So, kind of no matter what, when you come off the stage, a lot of times people will clap you on the back and say, "That was wonderful," even if it wasn't. So, I tend to not believe people when they tell me something was good. So, I tell people this all the time. We have to give our friends permission to be critical. We have to give them permission to tell us, "Hey, that part, you could have slowed down a bit." Or, "Hey, you went a little deep here." Or, "Hey, you skimmed the surface here." Like, we need that very specific feedback when we speak. The audience always wants us to do well. Our friends always want us to do well, but they're not helping if they tell us everything was fabulous, even when it wasn't. So, like these are the kinds of things that I know as somebody who works with a lot of speakers that, we too tend to sugarcoat it for the speaker on stage as they're coming off. So I get worried probably more so than other people if somebody gives me the big thumbs up and tells me, "Hey, that was great." Really? Really? Was it? Was it? So there's this warring, I know what's going on, and imposter syndrome all at once, which makes it worse for me.
Well, I feel that there are times when I come off the stage that I feel it. I'm like, yes, I know that was exactly what I wanted. Like I felt the energy in the audience. And then there are times when I'm reading the energy in the room and I'm just thinking something here is not landing right. And I feel it in my gut. And you're right. I mean, I use Talkadot, which is also created by somebody trying to create what they wanted as a speaker. But I get those reviews, and it's all nice and kind, and no big issues. But in my gut, just in the moment, I think, wow, did I do better? I have that doubt. Like, was it really that good for them, or like are people just being kind? What does this mean? Because if you are a practice speaker, you really do get used to noticing the energy that
Absolutely.
moves with you, and then you're always comparing yourself to other people as well as your past performances.
I have like a laugh count. How many laughs did I get? Are they laughing? Are they applauding? Are they asking questions? The asking questions aspect is huge in speaking. If you get to the end of your presentation and people don't have questions inside, that's because they aren't invested enough in what it is you're doing to care and ask questions. That is really when people are invested, when they're interested, they have questions. It's not like we're going to, tell everybody everything in that half hour on stage.
Well, and that is just not true. I mean, that advice is not limited to speaking. I mean,
True.
that is true if you're in a sales call, if like there's all kinds of instances in business, going through change. When people aren't asking questions about a change, that probably means there's a lot of resistance. We were just talking about this in my leadership training this week. We talked about change, and that's silence can be deadly. It can actually indicate, you think, oh, I don't have to worry about it because they're silent. I nailed it. And it's like, no, it's probably the opposite thing going on right there. That might be the ding, ding, ding bell ringing that you need to be paying attention to. So we do have friends in the comments. And if you have questions for Leslie, now is the perfect time to jump in and throw them in there, because we're getting to our wrap up. So the larger idea here that I want to bring us back to, Bobbie, is being mission driven. That's the whole point of having you. Although I love to highlight the work you do. Again, I will say you are a hero among heroes in terms of somebody who is really showing others possibility and how to lead through these spaces. But let's try to break that down into some concrete advice. So for other people who are looking around themselves and they're saying that narrative shouldn't stand, that should be different, that a change is needed, whether it's in their local community, their business practice, whatever it might be. What are some key pieces of advice that you would like to share based on your journey and what you're learning so far?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I tell people is that when you see a problem, stating the problem is often the first step for people. You shouldn't go straight to let's do something. Let's state the problem. Let's gather together the community who also sees the problem. And let's see who else is tackling the problem. A lot of times I hear from people who are like, oh, I don't see women on stage. And I'm like, yep, I'm working on it. Come here. Let's work together. I would much rather work with people and help them figure out a solution to their event than see some new initiative start. It's like nonprofits. We're not a nonprofit. We tend to be a no profit, but we're not a nonprofit. But a lot of times you'll see nonprofits that'll spring up because someone saw a problem and they want to help instead of helping out the nonprofit that exists. So, look at who else is tackling the problem. How can you potentially work with them?
I love that advice. I think that is very significant because um, there again, if you can get to this place that we are at inside of Innovation Women, where all boats are rising together, right? How do we pull our collective knowledge, energy, resources together? We can move things a lot further in community often than we can individually. Hey, William, I see you. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you with us today. What else, Bobbie? Any other thought that you would want to share?
I think sometimes we also um, we want to do more than we can do ourselves. So then it comes down to how can I get a team and how can I get people that know more than I do about a problem? How can I work with them? A lot of times when people are starting companies, one of the things that they're trying to do is create the solution before they figure out who needs it. And
Mm.
also starting with the problem itself, defining the problem and seeing who has that problem and talking to those people.
Yeah, I really like that advice as well. That you're very right about we want to jump into the task where our passion and energy is to fix. The human brain likes to fix. It's part of our character as human beings, but that can be a step too soon. And if we marry that onto the beginning of our conversation, the other piece of that is again, social capital and true economic capital. So I would add to on top of that, you're talking about some of the social capital pieces about who around you and who is the end user, who's the customer, what do they really need. But then, the other piece I think so many of us miss out on is this is costing you. It may be costing you nothing economically yet, but it's costing you time. It's costing you social capital with friends and family. It's costing you emotional energy investment as well as the physical and mental energy investment. And so really recognizing that you've got to understand that economic point because so many people burn out. They start and they go hard and they end up burning out because they are once things get so out of balance for us where the amount of effort we're having to put in, we're not feeling like the return is significant enough. That's a walk away point. That's why so many businesses fail, why so many ideas for social change fail. So you really have to pay attention within your own self and around you. So when you bring community around you and you bring other resources around you early, you're helping to share that load a little bit, which is going to give you a better shot at success.
Absolutely. And, the biggest thing from anybody who has been involved in entrepreneurship is problem orientation. Start with the problem. Don't necessarily start with the solution.
Well, Bobbie, I'm so happy that despite you not being at your best voice today, you were able to join us and share your journey. I know this is going to inspire many listeners. I'm sure there are people out there that are thinking about speaking that may want to understand Speaker Friends more. Innovationwomen.com. I'll post that up here one more time. Oh no, I won't for everybody, but innovationwomen.com is where you can connect up with Bobbie and learn about what she's doing. You can also connect with her social channels. And if you are thinking about starting something, make sure I'll be posting the journal. You grab the self-reflection guide, all this wisdom from Bobbie. We'll walk you through every step of the way with some questions that you should be thinking through. And we'll have all of that out with the drop, the podcast channels on Thursday. Make sure that you share this episode with some women that you know that want to speak because they need to know Bobbie, and with some entrepreneurs who also need to hear these lessons. Thank you, Bobbie, so much for being my guest today. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you. And congrats on 50 episodes.
Yes, 50 episodes. So excited about that. All right. I'll see you guys back here next week. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. If you love this episode, leave us those 5 stars and be sure to share this with a friend. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. See you back here next week.